Hello YouTube people. Bit echoey probably. Yes, it is a bit echoey. It's a bit windy outside. I came up to make the video outside, but it's a bit windy, so I moved into the big shed. Right, this is the video series Gary and his life worth living and all that sort of stuff. The last video I made, I kind of finished with talking about improving coping mechanisms, mainly mental coping mechanisms. And Gary made a video reply saying, fuck that. We don't want people with better coping mechanisms, we want them with worse coping mechanisms. And I let that sit for a while, and I must admit that it was very uncomfortable sitting with it, or the way it sat to start with. Because I was thinking, well, on the assumption that life is going to keep going, humans are going to keep going, surely having them with better mental coping mechanisms so they're not in anguish would be quite the ticket. That was the initial thinking. So I've got on with mainly gardening and thinking about banking and central banking and life and the meaning of everything, and thought, well, maybe the assumption that life will go on just about the way it's going, the open-ended idea, is not a particularly terrific idea, because what we would be doing would be teaching people better mental coping mechanisms. But I would say, or agree with Gary, depending which way you want to have it, that we would have to be deceiving people, or we would have to be teaching people how to deceive themselves. And that would be okay if life did have a projected meaning. But we've been through that with me 2 or 3 videos ago, where I gave you all the options of finding what life's projected meaning could be, and nobody could tell me. So it's not. People have been using this word teleological quite a lot lately, and I think that means going in a certain direction, and it has a target. So life is not teleological, if I'm using the word right, I'm really not sure, but I think it's that. Life is not teleological. It's just an explosion in a clusterfuck factory. So, accepting that it's an explosion in a clusterfuck factory, and it's not teleological, it's going nowhere, why would we want to perform it, perfect it, pertain it, keep it going? And I think there is the choice, and that's probably the drive of Gary's whole video debate series, and I've only just latched on, because I don't watch all of them probably. Is it worth carrying on or not? And the answer surely is no. Because if we're going to carry on, we've got to accept we're not teleological, we're not going anywhere. So if we're not going anywhere, all we're doing is biding our time while we are here. So the question is, and I think, again, this could be the question Gary's asking, is it better to be here or not to be here? Not being here, completely neutral, of no positives or negatives, and that can't be argued, because nothing is nothing. I think we can all agree with that. But being here, is it better than not being here? No. Being, what good is it? Is it any good? Not is it any bad, I wouldn't go into that, but is it any good? If we're not going anywhere, surely it's no good. It can't be any good, because it's all the ideas that we have that think it is good, like I've put how many hours of learning about banking and central banking in this week to add to the hundreds of other hours I've put in? I don't know. Or making the garden, or what are other directionally fired things I've been doing, which is just filling my time up. Whether I understand central banking, or whether vegetables grow, or whether I invent a theory of something that's going to do something what the world would call marvellous, it still makes no stuffing difference. It makes a difference as in nick, knock, little balls knocking around difference, but in the whole overall scheme of things, it makes no sodding difference at all. Not even if we go on to other planets and do other things, it makes no difference, because there's what the question that I asked 3 videos ago was, could anybody dream up, whether we stay on this planet or go to other planets, dream up anything that could justify all this nonsense? And nobody has. All the best anybody has come up with are different mental coping mechanisms, like learning about banking or growing vegetables. So, as humans, we seem to have this teleological urge, as in, we want to make things mean something, and then we want to throw a target out there and try and hit it, or at least move towards it. That's what we seem to be. We don't need to go into the DNA again, but that's what we're built to do. And we like it, we enjoy it. And we enjoy it because that gets us to do this sort of thing. It gets us out of bed in the morning. So, we're built to be purposeful. So can we think of a purpose? If we say perpetuating, is that the word I was looking for before? Perpetuating things forever, that's not a purpose. All we can have is our own little selfish purposes. So I thought, what's the option to this? And Gary might have touched on it, I don't know, is to plan to stop doing this. And if we think on the 6 foot to 1/8 of an inch scale, the humans, and what we are meant to feel as individuals and all that sort of thing, actually planning to stop doing this sort of thing as humans is probably, as I said earlier, quite the ticket. It'll give us a purpose. So what would we be thinking here? We could be thinking, try and make ourselves... Oh, it's starting to rain. If it rains on this tin roof, we're doomed. Try and make ourselves the last generation. And the young children that grow up, I don't know, try and convince them not to have children. Not to do it. Because we, as adults, and as the forward wave of entire generations of thinking, have not been able to think of any reason why we're doing this. Thinking that our children are going to enjoy thinking of some reasons is probably pushing it a bit far. So we can teach them better coping mechanisms, as I said, but I think I am with Gary now. It's better to teach them what is going on, that there is no great idea, and the best we could have done for you, or the best we can do for you, is to teach you coping mechanisms that will get you through life until you die. And ask them, based on that information, do you want to have more children to do that same thing again, to teach them better coping mechanisms so they can get through life until they die? And if we get an idea going, a teleological target, an idea going, where we are actually diminishing the population generation after generation, and actually doing something, that might be an excellent coping mechanism for the people that are living, because they've got this idea in their head that they are actually going somewhere and doing something. They are actually reducing the human population on the planet. And people are always happy when they've got a target and they're hitting it. And it's based on honesty, not on bullshit. So I'll leave that with you. Come on, rain. I've got empty water butts. Need filling so I can grow more vegetables. Bye.